It's the Brett Show. No, not that Brett, but the Packers gave almost a full game to number 7. Are the Packers looking to shop HUNT-ley elsewhere? Plus, the boys return home as we preview the Rams next on your Packers Fan Podcast.
Hey, Packers fans, this is your unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, and these are the podcasters you're looking for. One of these guys, even though he's a huge fan of the Packers, he doesn't like bratwursts and wonders if that's wrong. And the other guy bangs the drum all day and thinks, touchdown. And now it's time to go, Pack, go, with your hosts, Wayne Henderson and Troy Heinritz.
Welcome back. This is your Packers Fan Podcast, the show by and for fans of your 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers. Keep this phone number handy, especially on opening day, September 10th. Give us a call at 920-3PACK-GO. That's 920-3PACK-GO. Or simply visit PackersFanPodcast.com/feedback and leave a voicemail right from the site anywhere in the world. This is episode 135 of your Packers Fan Podcast, recorded August 30th, 2017. And the show notes with links and things that we talk about will all be at PackersFanPodcast.com/135.
On this week's edition, we're going to discuss some of the things which led to the Packers' preseason loss to the Broncos. We'll also talk about Brett Hundley and all the talk about him, plus injury news and some transaction updates.
As well as having our full Rams at Packers preseason game preview, Troy's keys to our Packers beating the Rams, and great thoughts from you, the G-Force. At Wayne Henderson here with you, the voice acting, podcasting part owner of your 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers.
And looking for a second string offensive line, I am at Troy Heinritz, your gold ticket package holding part owner of your Green Bay Packers. The Packers Fan Podcast is available on demand and on the go with our free Packers Fan Podcast apps. They're for iOS and Android, so go ahead and download those today because we got a great season coming up here shortly.
Very shortly indeed. It'll be here before you know it. Now, to get things into form, we had our weekly Monday Twitter poll. We asked, what was your favorite part of the Packers at Broncos game? And 64% of the people that voted said Ty Montgomery's running.
Boy.
I am not surprised at all. And 13% said Mason Crosby's 52-yard field goal. 20% voted for Trevor Davis's punt return. 3% said other, but didn't really tell us why. And Granny Cheese replied, didn't get to see the game just yet here in Texas. They got a lot going on, you know. But I would have loved to see my favorite number 88 back in action, ready for some Packers football ASAP. And Granny Cheese and the rest of the gang, we are sending prayers and good thoughts for everyone in Texas and the rest of the Gulf Coast states because they're getting more rain than I can even imagine.
Yeah, here on August 30th, day before game day, heard is moving into the New Orleans area again. So, holy cow, is that just a lot of water down there?
Yeah, in a short period of time. So, definitely praying for safety. And hopefully you'll get to see that game soon, as well as the Packers-Rams game, and, of course, back on track when the regular season gets here. But let's share some of our highlights and lowlights from the Broncos-Packers game. Troy, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, Trevor Davis, another great punt return. Pretty exciting once again. I mean, this guy has just shown all of the flashiness that we wanted to see, and I think we finally have a return game potentially here for the upcoming season. I think Trevor Davis also then with that secures one of those coveted wide receiver spots. So things are looking pretty tight if they're going to keep 7 wide receivers this season.
We are going to be on fire. And Ty Montgomery, he had some great runs, especially early on. It was just so good to see him finally getting into the form. The team, you know, preseason, for all of its faults, it seems like it really does help people find their groove.
Yeah, I mean, in Ty Montgomery especially, it looked like he was right there ready to go. Him rip off again the yard and averages that he was getting at the end of last season. I know that we've been a little bit slow start on the running game coming out of the gate for the first 2 games, but it's great to see Montgomery is looking like he is ready to take on his number 1 spot as the Packers running back officially.
And with all of the off-season training and all of that kind of stuff, even though he's wearing number 88, he really looked like a running back this time.
Sure did. Yeah, Mason's just money as always. I mean, there was a little bit of that squib kick thing that happened towards the end of the game. Didn't know where that one was going, but yeah, other than that, the 52-yard field goal is clutch, though. It's nice to see him hitting those from that far out.
Yeah, still maybe trying to work out some of the kinks with the changes in the holder and the long snapper, but we brought back Good, so things should be getting into a groove. And how about Hundley? He's using his legs to finally keep plays alive. I was surprised that we didn't see hardly any of the other quarterbacks we have. It was the Brett Hundley show.
Yes, and I think this is very key because he's in the third year of a 4-year contract. So you know you're not going to play Hundley at all during the regular season. God forbid nothing happens to Aaron Rodgers. So with that, the only time you can showcase him to the rest of the league is in preseason. So they're going to keep him out there as long as they can because they want to get some value for the guy, because by this time next year, if they can't trade him, they're going to have to either do something with his contract to keep him or let him go loose. And that would be really, really, really bad considering the fact that we spent so much time developing and all of that stuff. So I'd like to get something back for him.
Well, that would be nice if we do have to get rid of him. But at the same time, I think Hill needs a lot more work out on the field as well.
Oh, yeah, he certainly does. I don't think this is a play to get rid of him this year. This is hey, he's here and available, so if you come knocking with a first-round pick for him, we aren't going to say no.
Ah, it's a strategy thing. You know what question folks might be asking, Troy?
What time is the game on tomorrow night?
It's on very early, 4 p.m. Pacific. So it's like I got to get right home from work. People are actually asking, where is Kevin King? And that's because Josh Jones seems to be overshadowing him at this point with a team-high 6 tackles during the game. And I love seeing actual tackles happen. Yeah,
this was a big highlight from the Broncos game for me, because when you really think about what the secondary has been doing, especially as the cornerbacks have been playing in that Washington game, you still saw some of that like panic from last year with those balls being thrown over certain cornerbacks' heads. So to have Josh Jones be up there, getting in the mix, making his name and presence felt, I think Josh Jones is going to be a real bright and shining armor for that secondary this season.
And that, good old Ty Montgomery, he's not the only running back trying to make a little bit of a spark out on the field this week. Williams seemed to be showing up a bit.
Oh, yeah. Williams is a strong runner, but the big one, I don't know if you saw this, Wayne, but Aaron Jones, man, he was the best runner of the night in terms of yardage. 43 yards on 6 carries for, we'll call it a respectable 7.2 yards a carry. That's better than Ty Montgomery last year.
And that's just respectable?
I mean,
that's amazing.
If you have a guy who could rattle off 5.6 plus, another guy that can rattle off 7.2, I think we have a running game. We just got to use it. So can McCarthy actually stick to the running game? And I'm really curious to see if he does not actually showcase these guys this week.
Yeah, we do have to make a bit of a commitment there, because this is, the game 4. We're not going to see any starters, maybe 1 or 2 for a little bit. So it's time. It's going to be showcase time. And the game it was going to be airing on the NFL Network here, but then today it said they were going to be showing the Cowboys-Texans game or whatever, the Texans game. But now that that's been canceled, I don't know. I assume I'm going to get to see the game tomorrow.
Hey, if you have the NFL Game Pass, then you don't have to worry about when it's on. You just watch it when it's on. If not, you watch the replay or the condensed version, which is always fun too.
That's true. But I have a feeling that since they're playing the Rams and I'm in the Rams market, it'll be on one of the channels here at very least. But not everything was awesome. Actually, there was a lot that was not awesome in the Denver Broncos game. Was it due to the
song told me that everything is awesome?
Well, the song, if you're a Lego, everything is awesome, especially when you're part of a team. But this game, I think game 2 is when everything peaked. There were some highlights, but there were some lowlights, Troy, and I'm not sure if it was the high altitude.
Oh, man, I'm sure everybody had the flu.
It is going around, but I'm not going to play that card until at least December.
Yeah, I think the challenge here is that our linebacking crew is really struggling. I mean, you have a lot of injuries going on out there, and because of that, it's a lot of the second-team linebackers who have to contain the run, and that's why you got Broncos quarterbacks running all over the place. You got lackluster tackling in the middle of the field. I mean, there's some challenges on the defense.
Yeah, And we'll have a little bit of an update on linebacker news, as well as a few people that got banged up during the game. Nick Perry, Bryce, and Ringo. We'll have some updates on injuries a little bit later on. But did it not seem that Brett Hundley was being sacked way too much in this game?
Yeah, for the strategy for Hundley to be showcased to the rest of the NFL, all it looks like he's doing is playing his best Jay Cutler impression in this game.
Oh.
Put away from my life.
I mean, do you think it's because of all the changes? You know, we're probably not playing our number one offensive line. People were getting through. I'm just glad it's preseason, and I'm glad that it's almost over.
Well, and I'm sure that's why Aaron Rodgers went out so early in the start of the game, because when he got sacked, I mean, you got to see, like, Mike McCarthy's like, get him out of there. The offensive line's not doing its job this week. We're not risking this. So I really feel the second string offensive line is our weak point for this team right now. And I really hope that we can find some people to play some backups or get some more people out there that can shore that up, because, man, right now, second string is no bueno.
Maybe no bueno, but the first string seemed to have been doing pretty good, at least last week. And, you know, I'm kind of frustrated with Aaron Rodgers not playing the entire first quarter, let alone the first half in this game, because that's kind of tradition. Several other top-tier NFL teams did play their starters well into the second quarter. Now, I know we want to avoid injuries, but this is preseason game number 3. And, of course, since AR-12 is not going to play in game 4, and Aaron did look good during that very brief time in game number 2, but even a pro's pro needs some more real work to get ready for the season. If Aaron Rodgers is rusty week 1 against the Seahawks, I'm not going to be happy, because what happened to all of this talk about starting fast? I don't think you can start fast if your quarterback only plays the barest minimum of snaps. Of course, if Aaron Rodgers and the Packers come out of the gate, convincingly win the first 4 regular season games, I will eat my words, but color me nervous at this point.
Hey, you know what? If he's a little rusty, they drop the first 2. We could run the table for 14 and still host an NFC home game for the championship. So I'm fine. Don't worry. RELAX table Packers.
That is a bit of a confidence boost, but at the same time, I'd really like to start the season 6-0.
I sure would too. I sleep a lot better come November. But I got to do all my Christmas shopping. I don't have these heart attack moments, and don't know if I'm actually going to get to see my family by the time the turkey's served.
Exactly. So I'm just laying it out there. We'll have to see what happens. If we do start the season 6-0, not only will I be very happy, but I will eat my words right here on the podcast. And since they're on a glass iPad screen, it's going to be a little bit sharp.
Yes, this is Caleb Fisher from O'Connell Falls, Wisconsin. I wanted to have my invoice in on Jason Spriggs, the right tackle for the Green Bay Packers, and how poorly he did last night. Also, I also noticed that the defense wasn't that well either, and I wanted to get your intake on exactly who we should cut. And Brett Hundley did really, really poorly last night. And go Pack, go!
I love Caleb's like, well, this guy wasn't so good. This guy wasn't that good either. This guy was really bad. But hey, go Pack, go!
Go Pack, go always, Caleb. Green and gold till dead and cold, as they say. So we appreciate your call to 920-3-PACK-GO. I think it was just one of those nights, whether it was just we got overconfident or because we were on the road in Denver, high altitude. I don't know.
Well,
what do you think?
I've been bagging on Hundley most of the season that he hasn't been the same Hundley we saw the first 2 years. But I think in this game is probably one of his better games that he's played. He used his feet a little bit more. He had that scrambling touchdown. And I think this was more a fault of the offensive line. Like you mentioned, Spriggs. Spriggs did not have a very good game, and Spriggs has got to do a whole heck of a lot in this game to prove that he's going to be a quality backup out there. And because of that, that's why we saw Hundley on the ground most of the game. That's really more of a fault of the line than it is him. Now, granted, Hundley's been hanging onto the ball. He kind of had the Aaron Rodgers, hanging onto the ball concept from last season when he started out earlier in the year. But he's got to get rid of the ball faster. We have to execute the quick plays, the 2-step drop, and dump it off and let the receivers do the job. Our receivers are the best part of our team, along with Aaron Rodgers. But for that most part, if you get it into receivers' hands, they're going to make yardage, and we just need to make that happen. And he's holding the ball a little bit too long for my taste, especially behind a second-tier offensive line that's not doing so well.
Amen to that. But I do think that this week at Lambeau Field, hosting the LA Rams, this could be the exact fix we need.
Yeah, it's a confidence booster. I mean, granted, the Rams suck, and their stadium's not even that much better. But at the same time, you have to think, okay, if I get a win in this game, it gives me that confidence boost to know that I'm on an upward momentum going into the Seahawks. And we're having this game at home. The Seahawks are at home. There's no travel in between, little camaraderie going on. So I think we're in pretty good shape to start off the season. And it better be, because I'm going to that game. And we're going to win because I'm going to be there.
If you have to carry the entire organization on your back, Troy, whatever it takes.
I got to get the squirrel to come out of hiding early, because he only runs around when it gets to be like deer hunting season.
Right.
So if I got to get the squirrel out there early to get some motivation going, I'll get him out there, because we're not losing to the Seahawks. I won't be able to live it down from the Seahawkers podcast.
No, or many other people. It must be a victory. It's do or die time. Now, some breaking news that just happened within the past 24 hours, Troy. Share what could be very exciting for Packers fans. Yes,
linebacker Ahmad Brooks. He might have been our mortal enemy earlier in this decade, but he was about to make $4.5 million with the 49ers, but now he's going to be getting a $3.5 million base in August from the Packers, with a chance to make upwards of $5 million because we signed him to the team. And I think this is a great thing, because when you look at the linebacker situation, we're hurting pretty bad. So, Ahmad Brooks had that really fantastic year in 2013 when the Niners made the playoffs, and he's no spring chicken. Now, this is his 11th season in the NFL, and I think this move shows that we know that we still have to address this linebacker area, especially in the middle of the field. And I think this also helps us give a little bit leadership on that front seven. It also shows that Ted Thompson, I think, is doing everything he can. For all the people that are like, free agency, why isn't Ted doing this and why isn't Ted doing that? Right. I mean, this is a nice pickup when you're this late into preseason to say, hey, we have a hole. We need to fill it with a veteran. We're going to sign this veteran because defense is going to get us to the Super Bowl this year. We're spending the money. We're doing the right things. I hope to see good things out of Ahmad Brooks.
Oh, me too, definitely. And he's got to be happy going from a woefully pitiful team like the 49ers to the Green Bay Packers, who are primed and ready to make a run this season in just, 10 days? It all starts.
Can't wait. So exciting.
It is. And the very first game against the Seahawks, that's a former division rival of his, so he might have a little more. Of course, we play him once every year now, it seems like, but he plays them twice a year, so little experience.
A little more amped up. Little experience. Plug up the holes. 1,000 points of light. Thank you very much.
Go Pack, go. Now, on the injury news, things are kind of quiet, probably because the fourth preseason game is, at this point, just barely 18 hours away, and then there's the long stretch before the regular season. But as of right now, Devon House sidelined. He may be back week 1. Brian Bulaga, like we talked about before, sidelined with an ankle injury. He's week to week. Barclay, status uncertain because of the ankle. And Montravius Adams is sidelined with that foot, and he's week to week. So all these guys could be back week 1. Who knows?
Yeah, and don't forget, we also have Geronimo Allison out with that week 1 suspension. So it'll be interesting to see how they do the roster of 53, since I don't believe Allison's spot will count. So they could keep an additional receiver initially, only to move him over to the practice squad potentially.
Whatever it takes to beat the Seahawks week 1 and then make room for Geronimo week 2.
Well, this week we are facing the Rams, and I don't have keys to necessarily beating the Rams, but I want keys for what we all should be looking for in this fourth preseason game. These are the things that, when we think about the roster of 53 just around the corner, these are the people, these are the players that we should be looking out for. For example, we've already talked about the offensive line. After giving up 5 sacks last week due to Spriggs and Murphy, they need to step it up, because these are going to be the backups to Bakhtiari and Bulaga. They're going to be the future of the franchise as it stands right now, and so far their future doesn't look so bright. They're definitely not wearing shades. We need to make sure that these guys are stepping up. So I would look to Spriggs and Murphy and see what their games look like coming out of the Rams contest. Now, Taysom Hill, we're actually going to see in action. Yes, you heard it right here. Taysom Hill is going to see action before Mr. Callahan this week.
Ooh.
Because this week in practice, Taysom had more time in practice. And so if the plan is to showcase HUNT-ley to the rest of the league, my guess is you'll see HUNT-ley for the first half and Taysom playing the entire second half with maybe a sprinkle of Callahan to close it out.
A sprinkle? Is this like a weather forecast?
It's like an ice cream sundae, man, with brownies and caramel and fudge.
I know where you can get one of those.
I sure do. Outside linebacker, like we talked about, hurting something fierce right now. Perry's out, Elliott's out, Beagle's out, Matthews out, all having injuries. I'm sure they'll all be back fine for week 1. So look for big games out of Frackwell, Gilbert, and Calvin as they look to make their mark on the road to 53. So keep an eye on those guys. And then we also have the Packers wanting to showcase Brett back up to the league for the run game. That's also got to be showcased too. We have to figure out who's it going to be. Is it going to be Mr. Jones? Is it going to be some of these other guys that are out there? You have to really think about who's the number 2. Who does number 2 work for? We got to find out in the running game. So Brett might get a little bit more pass happy in the first, but I bet you Taysom Hill runs a good, mean running game in the second half of this matchup. And then finally, we have the wide receivers. Things are shaping up. The big 3 are solid, obviously. And then we have Davis and Janis showcasing all their efforts on special teams. So that gets us to 5. That leaves 2 spots. So assuming they keep 7 wide receivers, and that's all there is, now we have Geronimo Allison, second year. We got practice squad player McCaffrey, who we've been talking about here on the Packers Fan Podcast. He's had the best camp out of everybody, I think, so far. And then you have draft picks Dupree, who, if is cut, I would assume would end up on the practice squad because of the draft pick status. And then you have Yancey, who I have not heard a thing about all camp. So my guess is you'll probably see Allison and McCaffrey close up those 2 spots. Now, Janis, you still have that question with Jeff Janis. He's like the proverbial favorite, and he does play well on special teams. So do you maybe slot him into a different position just to keep him on special teams so you can keep another wide receiver? Maybe a fullback or something. I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see how Janis actually plays out in this mix because as a receiver, he's not that great.
Janis. Hey, you never know. You're right. Make him a fullback, whatever. He's definitely a favorite, and he may very well surprise you tomorrow night. We'll see. And, of course, the Green Bay Packers organization has their official dope sheet out for the Rams at Packers matchup, and we'll link to it at PackersFanPodcast.com/135. Basically, the Green Bay Packers finished the preseason. Thank you. At Lambeau Field with a game against the Los Angeles Rams today, by the time you hear this, Thursday, August 31st at 6 p.m. Central. Now, this is the Rams' first visit to Lambeau Field during the preseason. The only other time the Packers hosted the Rams in the preseason came in '94 when they faced off in Madison, Wisconsin. And even that was a long time ago. And
yeah, it was.
And one of the NFL's longest team traditions, the Upper Midwest Shrine Game, kicks off his 68th installment tonight. It'll be the first time the Packers have faced the Rams in the Upper Midwest Shrine Game.
Yeah, I'm sorry for all my Milwaukee fans that I won't be there on Thursday night because Thursday night. Stop having Thursday football, people. Just stop the madness.
I know. And I tried to make them stop with the whole color rush, but I think it's happening again during the regular season Thursday games. Oh, boy. Anyway, each season, the Packers donate a percentage of the gate to the Shriners Hospitals for Children. The Shriners facilities provide specialized medical services, helping children with birth defects and other injuries at absolutely no cost. And to date, the series has raised more than $3.5 million for the Midwest Shrines Burn Centers and Hospitals for Crippled Children. And the series has actually called 3 separate stadiums home. Milwaukee's State Fair Park from 50 to 51, Milwaukee County Stadium from 52 to 82, as well as 84 to 94, and Lambeau Field in 1983, as well as 1995 until now. That's covering some ground in Wisconsin, Troy.
Sure is. They just missed Camp Randall and something out in La Crosse area, the Cooley region.
Maybe next season. Maybe not. And the Packers-Rams series, these clubs first met in 1937 when the NFL launched its long relationship with the city of Cleveland. That's right, the Cleveland Rams. The franchises met every year from 37 to 71, except for 1943, when the Rams didn't field a team. Green Bay went 12-1-1 in the first 14 matchups between the clubs from 37 to 1944. 12-1-1, Troy. Not too bad.
Not too bad. I heard they didn't field a team last year either.
Yeah, I went to a few games. I kept waiting for him to show up, but alas, no. Some notable connections. Green Bay tight end Lance Kendricks was a second-round draft pick of the Rams in 2011 and played 6 seasons in St. Louis. Boy, the Rams move around a lot. And now Los Angeles. And the Packers, our Green Bay Packers, have a number of Southern California natives, including defensive tackle Kenny Clark from Rialto, right here in the IE. Linebacker Clay Matthews from Agoura Hills. Kyle Murphy from San Clemente. Tight end Aaron Peck from Riverside, here in the Inland Empire, from my high school's rival, North High School. And running back Jamal Williams from Fontana, right here in the IE. Read the full official Packers dope sheet for the Rams at Packers Game at PackersFanPodcast.com/135.
Don't you wanna Fontana? Oh wait, no, not that kind of Fontana. Okay.
No, but Fontana, in a way, kind of like Pittsburgh. It used to be a really big steel town, and there's a lot of good football players coming out of the IE. None from Yucaipa just yet, but you never know.
You never know. You could still play, Wayne. Steroids. Just kidding.
And if maybe I don't know what position would be best. I don't know. There's a lot of people above 40 kicking field goals.
Sure are. There's going to be a 40-year-old throwing passes, too.
That's true.
Now, we did have our final score last week of the Broncos 20, Packers 17. I believe that I was on the money with the Packers.
Yep.
At 17, Broncos 15. You had Broncos 24, so I got one of the two right, so I go first.
You got them both closest, so you definitely go first. Who do you have this week, Packers or Rams?
I'm going bonkers, man. Packers all the way. 30 points. We're just going to ram it down their throat. Get it? And because the Rams are still looking to field the team since 1943, I'm going to say Rams with a field goal.
Wow.
30-3. It's a blowout, people.
Wow, that sounds like the kind of score Wayne would predict on the podcast now and then. Packers 30, Rams 3. I like it, Troy. I'm going to temper my expectations just a little bit. I'm going to go Packers winning the game 21-10. Somehow the Rams are going to get a touchdown. I don't know how. Packers 21, Rams 10. Go, Pack, go.
Go, Pack, go, indeed.
Oh, my goodness. It's going to be fun to watch regardless. And we want to send out thanks to the Texas-only Green Bay Packers Fanatics Facebook group. They are supporting us on Patreon at the Brett Favre level. They never give up. Alex J., thank you for your support at the Curly Lambeau appreciation level. Well done. We thank you all, and you can also help support the Packers Fan Podcast. Troy, tell people how it can happen.
You can make it even better just by simply going to PackersFanPodcast.com/support to be one of our MVPs. That's right. You can even go to a game with me at Lambeau Field next year during the 2018 season if you support us at the Reggie White level for a minimum of 6 months. Again, all the details are at PackersFanPodcast.com/support. We want to do some live post-game call-in shows this year, but we can't do that without your support. So PackersFanPodcast.com/you guessed it, support, and make the Packers Fan Podcast even better, just like Alex J. and those crazy Texas Packer fans.
Yes, the Texas-only Green Bay Packers fanatics, they have had quite a week from this flooding from Harvey. So we thank them for their support. And if you go to the Patreon page, we have a kind of silly little video that we filmed while we were in Anaheim at the Podcast Movement Conference last week. Posted that up there, and I guess I got a little impatient waiting for the director to say action, so I took it upon myself, Troy.
That was pretty good. Pretty good.
Hey, it happened. Things happened. Now on Twitter, Troy, I need your help with some answers here. For Frazier Robertson on Twitter, asked us a few questions.
Shoot.
First, why hasn't Ted Thompson gone into free agency more since the Packers' last Super Bowl in 2010?
Well, that's very simple, because when you win the Super Bowl, you have a team in place that should be able to do it again. And we did go 15-1 in 2011, so there really wasn't a need to go find anybody. And because then we won the NFC North again and again and again and again, and then we missed one, and then again. So, I mean, really the team itself has actually been pretty decent with our draft and build mentality, so we haven't had the need to go into free agency. This year, I think, is a different story, because when you were literally on a roll going into the Atlanta Falcons, we talked about this, about how all of the playoff games that Aaron Rodgers has lost, he's like playing from behind by 35 points in every one of those games. So it can't just all be on his shoulders. There has to be some defense. So this is the year we went out and we got an offensive weapon target for Rodgers. We got some great upgrades on the defensive side, and we're still investing in the defense through not necessarily free agency, but it's still a free agent on the waiver wire out in the market. So we'll take it. I think we're doing the right things. This is going to be our year.
I think this is our year as well. Technically 2018, but hey, the rest of 2017 as well.
Plus, get to win the Super Bowl in Minnesota. That would just be such icing on the cake.
It's going to be fabulous. It's going to be purple, but it's going to be fabulous. Frazier's also wondering, do you think Packers fans will be annoyed if the Packers cut Jeff Janis?
I don't know. I mean, he's a fun guy. He caught the Hail Mary and blah, 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 and all that stuff. I mean, look, if Jeff Janis goes, Jeff Janis goes. It's a business first. We all understand that. He will definitely be missed. It was a lot of fun watching him in the preseason, definitely, over the last couple of years. But annoyed, I don't think is the right word.
Okay, and how about this final question from Frazier? Which positions do you think the Packers might have missed to fill in the draft?
I think you're still a little bit weak on the defensive line, to be quite honest. I mean, still short a lot of players down there, number one. And number two, the linebacker position still has some gaps, and we filled that, thankfully, hopefully, with Brooks. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, I definitely think on the front side of the defense, we're still missing a formidable pass rush that we've had kind of lacking since Gilbert Brown and those guys and B.J. Raji and all them left the team. There just hasn't been that big guy in the middle to really get a hole so that those linebackers can streak in and do their thing.
That's why when we were talking on the Aussie Guys podcast last month, we both thought that this is the year that Kenny Clark steps up and helps stuff some runs. That would be very nice.
Come on, Kenny, do it for Mama.
Do it for the IE. Do it for Packers fans everywhere.
You know it. Well, it is getting closer to the regular season, so we got some other news to throw your way here in the NFC North division. But I think Aaron Rodgers might be wanting to look at his contract here soon, because Detroit Lions and Matthew Stafford agreed on his contract extension worth over $135 million over 5 years.
Whoa.
Yes, 135. He is now the highest paid quarterback in the NFL in his 9th year. It's crazy. A reported annual value of slightly more than $27 million. Stafford's contract tops that of Oakland Raiders quarterback Derek Carr, who led the league for about 2 months after inking a 5-year, $125 million deal back in June. So, yes, the money talks, and they love Stafford in Detroit. Now let's just see if he can actually win games in the first quarter instead of the fourth.
And maybe go to a championship game or a Super Bowl. Unfortunately, they're in the same division as the Packers, so that's not going to happen. Wah, wah.
Wah, wah, indeed.
What other news you got, Troy?
So congratulations and big thanks to Clay Matthews, who was presented with the Chamber of Commerce's 2017 Community Service Award this week, largely for his efforts to support Cure Duchenne, an organization dedicated to raising awareness and funding research to find a cure for Duchenne, a rare form of muscular dystrophy. Matthews has supported Cure Duchenne last season as part of the NFL's My Cause, My Cleats campaign, wearing specialty shoes for the home game against Houston on December 4th. This illness affects young men and boys, rapidly deteriorating their muscles as they age. Most who suffer from the disease are confined to a wheelchair by age 12, and many actually die in their 20s, Wayne. And the sad part is that there's no cure for this disease. Just really, really grateful that he's making awareness. You can watch a great video that he does for the Cure Duchenne Project, And then you can check that out, as we'll have the links and all of that to the story in our show notes at PackersFanPodcast.com/135.
Wow, that is great that he's lending his name to that cause, because I had not even heard of it, but it sounds terrible, and every bit of support they can get is fantastic. And yes, it'll be linked at PackersFanPodcast.com/135.
Now, the unofficial Packers Fan Podcast is not affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers. However, we'd be happy to be there, so just give us a shout at media@PackersFanPodcast.com if anybody in the front office is listening. Also, don't forget to become, again, one of our Packers Fan Podcast MVPs. PackersFanPodcast.com/support is your home. You can watch us make a cool video and know that what we actually look like for a change. So that way, if you see us at the Seahawks game, that's me, especially if you're a UK Irish Packer fan, make sure you come find me at the Seahawks game. It's going to be fun. But PackersFanPodcast.com/support to make the podcast even better.
And remember to take us on the go with you. Get your free Packers Fan Podcast app for Android or iOS, and follow us on Twitter at PackersFanPod. Be ready for the Monday Twitter polls, as well as live tweeting during most of the games this season. Whenever applicable, we will try to do that. You can also follow me on my personal account. What the heck? I am at Wayne Henderson.
And me, I'm at Troy Heinrich. So be sure to like us on Facebook as well. Just visit PackersFanPodcast.com/Facebook to join in on the community. We want to post your game photos. So if you're at a Packers game this season, make sure you send them in to us. You could do that via the feedback email, feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com. You could go ahead and just post them right up to Facebook so we see them, and we'll feature you guys on the Facebook community and the Instagram community as well. So send us your pictures all season long here at PackersFanPodcast.com/Facebook to see all of the fun we're all having.
Or even send in your feedback by going to PackersFanPodcast.com/feedback and let your voice be heard. Okay, we're going to have another fun episode of the Packers Fan Podcast coming up pretty quick, because the next episode after this one, we are previewing the regular season games. Woohoo!
Cannot wait.
Until then, thank you so much for listening to the Packers Fan Podcast.
Now gear it up for game day, people. We're going to ram it down their throats. Let's hear you loud and proud. Welcome back to Lambeau, people. It's Go Pack Go time.